Okay, so story time about how this girl and I were dating the same guy at the same time. So a little background information. I was 16 and a junior in high school. Well, I had been talking to this boy and we are going to call him Tyler. Him and I had talked for about 3 months and we did everything that couples would do without the labels. Well, everything was super good the first month. It was almost like our honeymoon phase. Well, then that quickly ended the second month. He had took a picture of me on Snapchat and sent it to one of his friends. Well, they ended up Snapchatting him back right away, and when I looked at the name, it said Bailey. To make things worse, this girl, Bailey, was #1 on his best friends list on Snapchat. By the way, I did not have Snapchat. At this time, I thought it was the most useless app ever made. Well, the fact that she was #1 on his best friends list was very concerning. Now, I know you're probably wondering why that's concerning. Well, Tyler would Snapchat his friends all day, every day. So you would think that one of his guy friends would be #1. But no, somehow this girl was. It just was not adding up. So I asked if it was Bailey merch. And he was like, no, I would never do that. Like, my best friend used to mess around with that girl. So then I was like, okay, then who the hell is this girl? Like, come on. It ain't that hard. And he said that it was some girl named Bailey Moore. Like, I wonder if guys just think that we're stupid. Like, why would you just, like, change 2 letters in the last name? But okay. By the way, I am literally reading this story time for the first time with you guys. So, to be honest, I don't know if it's really a different girl or not. I don't know. And because I'm just dumb, I paid no attention to the fact that this is possibly her and he changed the name. Because I did know who Bailey Merch was, and so did everybody else, because a rumor went around saying that she slept with some girl's boyfriend. So I decided not to press the issue anymore and focus on the good, because we were both leaving for spring break in 2 days. Well, I went to Texas like a week before he went to Florida, and we talked the entire time and everything was going absolutely perfect. Except for the last 2 days. 2 days before I had left Texas, Tyler went down to Florida. And I didn't hear one word from him his whole entire trip. Which was super weird considering the fact that we talked my whole entire trip. But I just ended up leaving it alone because I just wanted him to have fun on his vacation instead of worrying about fighting with me. How sweet of me. Well, when I was on my vacation, he had told me that he wanted me to come and meet his mom whenever we were both back in town. And I was super excited because I always heard great things about his mom and it made me feel a little bit more closer to him. Well, then he also promised one of his friends that he would go to prom with them once he got back. So I did a little digging to find out who this person was that he was going to prom with, and it turns out that it is the same Bailey girl that was on his Snapchat. What a surprise. So I texted him because I just wanted to make sure. So I texted him asking who he was going to prom with, and he said Bailey Moore. And the reason why I texted him is because I wanted to make sure before I made a big deal about this that that was actually who it was about. So we don't want to look crazy for no reason. So at that point, I just left him on red because I knew that something was up at this point. Well, then he finally calls me later trying to ask me what's wrong. And I told him nothing, but he just kept asking. And that was pretty much the only time that we had talked while he was in Florida. Because he decided that he was not going to talk to me until he got back. And the first day he was back, he decided that he was going to go to a party with some friends and get wasted. Then he spent the second day at the racetrack with his mom. So at this point, I was just really mad because he had not been responding to me. He just didn't seem like he wanted to talk to me. So I texted him and I was like, listen, you need to let me know if this is what you want or not, because I'm not going to put in time and energy to somebody who's going to treat me like this or doesn't want to be with me. So then he texts me back and he's like, no, like, I love you, I want to be with you, things have just been stressing me out a lot lately. So once again, like the idiot I am, I decide to forgive him for the time being. Well, we decided to go out for a movie later that night. Well, during the movie, I just kept getting this feeling that I really couldn't shake, that things really weren't good with us at all. So after the movie, I decided to ask him one more time about this girl, Bailey Moore, hoping to either get the truth out of him or just know more about her, to be honest. Because it's weird having some random girl go with your boyfriend to a different school to prom. But yet again, all I got was, I promise she's just a friend. I'm only going with her so that way I can hang out with my buddy Mitchell, who was one of his friends from the same town that she was from, apparently. So the movie was on Sunday night, and we were done, I guess, fighting after that. And we were doing all good throughout the week. Well, when Friday rolled around, he decided that he wanted to go and get drunk with his friends again instead of hang out with his girlfriend. I mean, the girl that he was talking to. Well, that Saturday, he decides that he wants to go out again with his friends and party. So at that point, I just decided that I would do the same thing. I would get drunk with my friends and just hang out with them. Well, that night I decided to drive home, and I guess my parents could smell the alcohol, or they must have seen me stumbling up the driveway, because they did not buy the story of, oh, I smell like alcohol because I drove my friends home. Sunday morning, they took my keys and my phone and told me I was grounded, and that if I wanted to talk to Tyler, I had to get him to call one of their phones. So I had texted Tyler off of my phone before I gave it to them and said, hey, if you want to talk, like, you have to call me off my parents' phone because I am grounded. So he was like, okay, like, I'll try to call you at least once. I'm super busy. And one more thing, to make it worse, my parents had went through my phone and they saw that I was sexually active and that I had just taken a Plan B, like, not too long ago. Well, that made my dad go absolutely insane, so he decided to put me in an online class that was run out of the hotel that he was currently working at. Well, after that week, he must have felt bad for me, the fact that my boyfriend hadn't called the whole time, so he let me call Tyler. And he told me that I had at most 20 minutes to talk to Tyler. So I called Tyler and I was like really rude to him on the phone, low-key, but he deserved it. I was like, you're so rude. I deserve better than this. You haven't called the whole entire time. So then he tried to flip the whole situation on me, acting like he was the one with no phone to call me. He eventually apologized and said that he was scared to make my grounding worse. So that's when he decided that he just thought it was better if he didn't call at all. But then he was like, I still love you and still want to be with you, blah, blah, blah. So this time I told him, I don't believe you. You need to pick me or the BS. Well, then his response was, I don't think I'm ready to be what you need. I'm just not mentally there and I don't really want to do this to you. I realized where I went wrong and I'm sorry. I just hope you can forgive me. So I just told him that I knew this was coming and that I just needed to hear it from him. And then he literally snaps me back saying, we can still be friends, right? I just don't think we can go beyond that because I don't want you getting hurt. Like, oh my God, thank you. How kind of you. So then I was like, I don't need you out of everyone feeling bad for me. Not to mention, I don't even need you at all. Like, how is us being friends going to make me feel better at all? It's not. It's really just not. Well, then he said that it would make him feel better because he still cared about me and he still wanted me to be his friend and be around. Like, sis, stop making this about you. So then I asked him what was the problem, because like, did this all start over the fact that I didn't text you back earlier after I got mad? And he goes, I don't know, it's just been really hard lately. I've been struggling with a lot of things. Yet he keeps saying this and he's not even explaining what the problem is. So then I was like, okay, so basically nothing's changed. You don't want to tell me what's wrong, like... So then I just told him, all right, well, I'm here if you need to talk, which I think was more than generous of me. And then he said, the absolute worst thing that you could ever say to somebody when you're breaking up with them, it's not you, it's me. I just wasn't ready for someone as great as you to come into my life yet. Okay, sis. Then he proceeded to apologize over like 100 times. And that he didn't know how he could lose me or, you know, stop thinking about me because I was so addictive for him. And then at the end, I told him, you know what, it's my fault. Like, I thought you wanted this, but clearly you didn't. So then I made him promise that he would never do this to another girl again. Then he said something like, I promise, and when I'm ready for you, I'll let you know. But until then, don't wait up for me. So then at that point, I just left him on red because I was tired of it. Well, then 2 days later, I get a bunch of videos from a private story, and it just happened to be Tyler's. Well, then I had found out that Tyler put all of my friends into a private story because clearly he wanted me to know that he moved on, knowing that they would send the stories to me. And these stories are of him with this Bailey girl. The Bailey who literally he said, oh, she got with my friend, I would never do that. Yeah, that one. And then it's captioned, one and only. Okay, sis. So I was laughing hysterically, kind of like in a crazy way and an angry way, in an actual, it was funny way. If you know, then you know. And then one of Tyler's friends who had gotten with Bailey texted me saying that Tyler had been staying at her house the past 6 weeks. So the whole time that we were dating, not the whole time, but half of the time that we were dating. So then I decided to message her and tell her what kind of person Tyler was and that we were dating the same guy at the same time. She was super sweet and everything, but unfortunately she still made the mistake of staying with him and being involved with him.
Tender touch, drum glove, staying up, just talk to you. You stayed in touch, 2 continents, through all odds. Seems every night, yeah, all the time I'm calling out to you. Seems every time I take a drink, I'm reaching out.
G'day there guys, and welcome back to another episode of r/Am I the Arsehole with updates. Am I the arsehole for distancing myself from my daughter after she took her mother's side? So I, 50 male, found out that my wife, 49 female of 20 plus years, was having an affair. I was completely hurt over this, and have started divorce proceedings. Obviously, this has been hard on our 4 children, but I cannot spend the rest of my life with someone that I cannot trust. Before we got married, my wife's family had money and demanded I sign a prenup. I had no problem, but since then, the family money has been lost due to bad investments and lawsuits. My wife was a stay-at-home mum for the majority of our marriage, our youngest child is 19, and because of the prenup, she can't get alimony. In short, my wife will be screwed. The only thing we own together was our house, and while it's paid off, my wife won't be able to afford the upkeep or the HOA fees, so she will effectively be homeless. I have no intention of giving her any type of support for any reason. And since serving my wife divorce papers, I have refused direct contact as my lawyer has advised. But she's now playing dirty by getting the children involved. We have 2 boys who are 23 and 21, and 2 girls who are 25 and 19, and my wife has been pleading with them to get me to agree to halt the divorce proceedings in favor of counseling. After I told my children that I had no interest wasting any more of my life with that woman, they have all essentially backed off except for my oldest, Christy. She is very close to her mother and can't imagine life where her parents weren't married. Christy tells me that her mother realizes her mistake and will do whatever it takes to make things right. She says that I owed it to the family to work things out. I refused and told her that it wasn't her place to make those kinds of demands. Since then, the only time Christy talks to me is when she's sobbing and asking me not to destroy the family. I understand that this is hard for her, and I offered to pay for therapy so she can cope, but she said there wouldn't be anything to cope with if I wasn't trying to divorce her mother. Since Christy is being too emotional to act within reason and refused therapy, I have been resolved to limit contact until after the divorce. However, my other children are saying that Christy's behavior is getting worse. Am I the arsehole for taking a step away from my daughter for a while? Updated for more info? Alright, I read a couple of responses and I just wanted to clarify some things. 1. Clearly my "she will effectively be homeless" comment was misinterpreted, so let me set the record straight. Because my wife and I own the house together, so long as we sell the house and split the proceedings, she will get something. 2. My wife didn't give up her career to raise my children. We could have hired a nanny, but she didn't want that, and she chose to be a stay-at-home mum for our children. Because of her family money, she was getting a monthly allowance from the estate. Plus, I paid for a housekeeper to make things easier on her. 3. Once my wife reached 30, she started getting a monthly allowance from the family estate, and the prenup addressed that, so that I couldn't claim half. In exchange, she couldn't get alimony. 4. I didn't want my children to get involved in the divorce. My wife decided to do that, and even brought up the reason why as a form of a preemptive strike. I only talk about the divorce when someone else brings it up, which Christy wants to do all the time. 5. I am not abandoning my daughter. I am just lowering contact with her until the divorce is finalized, because she's not letting up on trying to pressure me into taking her mother back, and refuses to go to therapy that I will pay for. And 6. Also, to the comments asking why my wife cheated, it's a little offensive. I don't know how that changes anything, or that I should care. However, the guy that she cheated on me with was younger. Look, he couldn't be any older than 30, so take that information and do what you will. Now in the comments, not the asshole. I'm a kid whose parents divorced. I was 4 or 5, so this may be a dumb question, but what does it matter that the family isn't together? I assume they all don't live at home and don't plan on it. Parents are adults, just like children turn into. If she is upset because mum is suffering, then she needs to let her mother move in and shut up. Not the asshole. I understand this is very upsetting for Christy, but how dare she ask you not to destroy the family? Excuse me, but why doesn't she ask her bloody mother that question? Her mother's selfish actions betrayed you, your marriage, and are the reason for the destruction of your family. Not you filing for divorce and refusing marriage counseling and therapy. Christy needs to know that she has absolutely no right to make those demands of you. She is an adult. Divorce is an unfortunate part of life. Some things are unforgivable for some people, and this is a deal breaker for you. In fact, asking/telling someone to just forgive or give someone another chance is emotional abuse. It completely invalidates and ignores how you feel. Quote, her mother realizes her mistake and will do whatever it takes to make things right. Not the asshole. Tell your daughter that the minute your wife can go back and unscrew the guy that she had an affair with, you will drop the divorce. Kids react unpredictably to divorce. The basic truth is that they don't have any say at all whether the divorce takes place or not. It's about a husband and a wife getting a divorce, nothing to do with the kids. And now on to the update. I just wanted to say that I was very grateful to all of your kind words and support in how to deal with my daughter. I decided to follow some of your advice and have a scheduled sit-down with her to explain that what goes on between her mother and I is not her fault, and that I simply can't ever go back to a woman who deceived me in such a big way. I told her that I try and be as forgiving and empathetic as possible, but I will not ever tolerate people who are liars with malicious and selfish intent, and try to cut them out of my personal life as much as possible. I was very calm when I said this, and I tried to be as loving as I could to my child, but it didn't work. Christy ended up breaking down, and again tried to convince me not to divorce her mother and just forgive her. I refused, and in the end went no contact with Christy for a little bit. I only spoke to her again 2 days before my other daughter's, Jane's, 20 female, birthday, through a text asking her not to bring up the divorce, since this was going to be the first time my wife and I would be in each other's presence since I filed. I sent the same text to her mother, and I didn't hear anything from either of them. On Jane's birthday, things were a little tense and awkward, but I thought it was going good. Until my wife decided to be passive-aggressive with a speech about how good it is to have the family together during important events. Everyone saw through her crap, and my son Jack called her out on it and said that she was selfish to bring it up on Jane's birthday. Christy started defending her mother, and Jane, understandably upset, revealed that the only reason Christy was on their mother's side for reconciliation was because she didn't want the fact that she not only knew about the affair, but helped her mother cover it up. There was a big fight that wasn't going to get resolved right then and there. I ended up leaving and was even more heartbroken all over again. Not only did my wife betray me, but my own daughter too? I knew she was closer to her mother than me, and I was okay with that, but this? I don't know what I did to make my eldest daughter so disloyal to me, but I am now resolved to go full no contact with her until after the divorce, and possibly for the rest of my life.
You've got the most beautiful diamond. You've got the most beautiful diamond's eyes I've ever seen in my whole life. The skyline is jealous, I'm looking at you, how you shine.
Unexposed is titled, Would I Be the Asshole for Potentially Ruining My Fiancé's Happiness? So, my fiancé and I are getting married soon, and her sister is her bridesmaid. However, sister-in-law won't come to the wedding if her boyfriend Nick isn't invited or welcome. I don't know Nick very well, but what I heard and know about him, I'm not very keen on having him in our wedding. When we announced that we were getting married, and before we invited anyone, Nick invited himself. That rubbed me already the wrong way. His reason was that he hasn't been to a lot of weddings yet. For context, my wedding will be the first wedding that I'll attend, so his reason is not that strong in my opinion. He already tried to come unannounced to our home when my sister-in-law was staying there for an internship that she had, and he expected that to be fine with us. In hindsight, I shouldn't be that surprised that he invited himself. Furthermore, my in-laws don't want him to be left at home. Their home where he also lives, because they don't trust him to be left alone there. So when Nick comes to my home, I'll have to keep an eye out, which will probably cause more stress that day. For my fiancé, family is really important, and that is why I'm torn about this question. I know that it's my wedding too, but my fiancé will be heartbroken if her sister isn't there because Nick isn't invited. So would I be the asshole if I didn't invite him, resulting in my sister-in-law not being there, and therefore ruining my fiancé's happiness? And edit, some people asked for a little bit more information on why I don't want him to be there, and what my fiancé thinks of him. My fiancé is on the same page as me, if we're talking about Nick. She also found it quite impolite that he just invited himself even before we sent out the invitations. We still haven't sent them. We did talk about not inviting him, however, her dislike of him is less than her love of her sister and wants him to be there if that means that her sister is there. I still haven't made a choice in this matter, and that's why I made this post. We're still thinking about having no +1s because of restrictions, so he'll be the exception in that case. Yes, he does live with my in-laws, however, he never asked and they never agreed. He just slept there one night and never left. He is also controlling, like my sister-in-law has to go where he's going and the other way around, and she cannot wear sexy cloth, her words. I think he doesn't trust her to go to a wedding alone. My biggest reason for him not to be there is that he took stuff from my in-laws when confronted. He didn't make a big deal out of it. And now in the comments, you're the asshole. It's perfectly reasonable that the boyfriend of the maid of honor assumed he would be invited to the wedding. Not inviting him, and thus preventing your fiancé from having her sister and maid of honor at the wedding, seems petty and punitive. You are risking destroying your fiancé's relationship with her sister for absolutely no good reason. Yeah, you'd be the asshole. At this level of the relationship, you should know how to compromise with your significant other, and you should be talking to her about it. If family is so important to her, and it would ruin the day for her, then you should at least try finding a way of making this happen, and not just decide that you are not inviting this person because it could possibly be a stressful situation. If your in-laws don't trust Nick unsupervised in their house where they allow him to live, they need to evict him. This isn't your fight to have, but it is rude of your in-laws to push to have Nick invited to the wedding so they don't have to worry about him being unsupervised in the house while they are at the wedding. What has Nick done to warrant the distrust? It sounds like he's gauche and good at social faux pas, but why is he an asshole? If you want to bar Nick from your wedding, you probably need a bigger reason than, I don't want him there. There must be a reason why your in-laws don't want him in their home without supervision. Has Nick stolen from them? And as far as etiquette is concerned, it is rude to invite only one half of an established couple, especially when they live together. So unless you have a good reason beyond a gut twinge, you're the asshole. You're the asshole. He didn't invite himself. He's a long-term live-in partner. It was totally reasonable for him to be invited. Dealing with this sort of thing is part of being in a family. Before and after the wedding, you might be able to keep him out of your house. It will be a matter for discussion and perhaps compromise with your fiancé/wife. But for the wedding, given the sister-in-law's reason, you need to deal with it. Might change judgment with more specifics on why you don't want him in your house, but I doubt it though. I feel like if they were more specific than, he's a sketchy dude, you'd have shared that already. And now onto the update. Although my post didn't receive that much attention, I wanted to make a proper update to close it after we got married and to reply to the people that took the time to comment on my post. After I came home that evening, I showed the post to my then fiancé and we both had a laugh at how awful I was in the post. She told me that I need to work on relaying information better. That was a big mistake on my part to not better describe the problem in my post. She also told me that she also doesn't want him at the wedding and that we were on the same page. However, she said that she wanted her sister to be there more than she didn't want Nick to be there. I said I accepted the judgment, as people pointed out that Nick would probably dig his own grave, and that it would cause more drama to not invite him, and I wanted my sister-in-law there more too. So we put him on the guest list, and once the invites were ready and sent out, we sent one to him too. We got confirmation from my sister-in-law that both of them were going to be there. We made plans with him in it, and proceeded as usual. But here's the good part. 2 days before the wedding, my in-laws arrived from France, but Nick wasn't there with them. They told us that he didn't want to get vaccinated, and he didn't want to get tested before they were going. You need to show a negative test or proof of vaccination before entering into the Netherlands. We told them 2 months in advance, and they were either vaccinated or tested, but Nick didn't want to. We looked at each other and asked ourselves if we should be pissed because we had everything planned, or happy that he wasn't there. In the end, we couldn't give a crap because we were too tired at that point. We had a lovely sunny day with the people we loved, including our sister-in-law. And now in the comments, Disney tier happy ending. Seriously, I'm so happy for OP. The only way this would be better is if your sister-in-law broke up with him. Couldn't have put it better myself. I'm so glad to have this update, not the asshole by any means. And thank you so much to each and every person in the comments section for helping having this wonderful conversation. I read Then Fiancé and kept anxiously reading to find out why you broke up, only to realize it's because she's now wife and not fiancé. Phew, congratulations. And I'm glad you got the best of both worlds. I hope your sister-in-law realizes that she deserves better. Sister-in-law is part of the problem though. She's the one who let Nick stay at the in-laws without even asking, and she also didn't think that it was a big deal to RSVP yes for Nick and then give no heads up that he wasn't going to go. She was willing to miss her sister's wedding over her boyfriend not going, even though her boyfriend doesn't even care enough to get a simple test to be able to go. So, not only did Nick not bother to get vaccinated or tested to be able to attend the wedding, but he didn't even bother to give a heads up that this would happen. He RSVP'd yes, then just doesn't show up with no warning. I'm starting to get a clearer picture of Nick and why you rightfully didn't want him at the wedding. And sister-in-law sucks too for foisting an uninvited roommate upon your in-laws and also not giving you a heads up. Unexposed is titled, Would I be the arsehole if I bought my friend a skirt for his birthday? Hey, so I, 17 female, have been friends with Jack, 17 male, for a few years now, and his birthday is in 2-ish weeks. I know I still have time, but I've been stuck on what to get him. I'm moving away soon, and well, there's a chance we may not see each other again, so I want to get him something memorable. His parents have money, so he has practically everything he wants and needs, but I'd feel horrible not getting him anything, or getting him something boring. I was looking up ideas on the internet, and I found that some people gift funny, memorable things instead of material things, and I thought I'd give that a go. So I decided to buy him a skirt. I'm also getting him some guitar stickers, but I wanted my gift to be memorable, and stickers are hardly memorable. You see, growing up, many people assumed or thought Jack was a girl. Even now, some people refer to him as she or her by accident, but it happens far less due to his height. Yes, I know girls can be tall, but I'm sure you all know what I mean. He also has a unisex name that is more often used for girls. He always laughs about it and doesn't really care. He told me he takes it as a compliment because people find him pretty. Anyways, so I bought the skirt, and it even fits Jack's usual style. He has this emo/80s look going for him, and I was really excited. However, when I told his sister, she got upset. She told me that it was a really bad idea. When I asked her why, she told me that Jack hates the whole Jack is actually a girl jokes, and even had a huge breakdown the other day because of it. I would totally believe her, except his sister has a huge tendency of lying about Jack. Like, she makes up random crap about him constantly, and although mostly harmless, it's insanely weird. Edit, he said himself not to believe anything she says about him. Just in case, I asked Jack if he was really okay with the feminine jokes, and he said he didn't care at all. He looked confused that I had even suggested that something was wrong. I even showed his older brother the gift, and he laughed, saying that it was a great idea. His other friends all gave me thumbs up too. Hell, I even asked his girlfriend, who I don't really know well, and she thought that it was funny. So when his sister called me asking if I was going ahead with the gift, I told her I was. She called me an asshole for doing it, even though I know how much it would hurt Jack. I told her that I didn't trust her BS. She said she wasn't lying, and then hung up. So would I be the asshole if I gave him the skirt? I'm sure he'll laugh at it, and that his sister is lying, but maybe I should just get him something else to be safe, in case there is a slight chance that she isn't lying. I've gotten really attached to the gift though, and the more I think about it, the more perfect the idea gets. OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. I may be the asshole because there is a slight chance that his sister may not be lying. Also, this whole thing probably isn't worth it, and I'm sure I could find something else, although it would take longer. Now in the comments, you would be the asshole. It's his birthday, and as a gift, you want to continue with the joke that he's heard his whole life. Yes, he probably can handle the joke, and it doesn't affect him negatively, but I highly doubt he likes the joke. Giving him the skirt instead of a gift is just you making fun of him on his birthday. Just because he can take the joke doesn't mean you should go along with it. And OP replies, I see your perspective and I will rethink the gift, just because there is a chance. I'm not saying the skirt is a no because I genuinely believe he'll like it. His own girlfriend, older brother and friends since kindergarten think so, and he has never once shown any signs of discomfort and is really confident about how he looks. He told me this himself. But thank you for the reply, and I will definitely look around for some other things. You would be the asshole. He could have conflicted feelings on it, but either way, why get him a gift that highlights something that's treating him like a joke? You are reducing your friendship into, ha ha ha, isn't it funny how some people misgender you? There's gotta be something else you can get him that is meaningful and isn't laughing at his expense. OP says, I get it. I just thought he'd appreciate a funny joke type of gift instead of the constant expensive things that he already has. He seems to be confident and even makes the jokes himself, but I totally get it. Like I said in other replies, I'll look into other things, but I'm still thinking it over. Thank you. Upside to giving the gift, he laughs and thinks that it's funny. Downside to giving the gift, he's hurt that even his close friends harp on a played-out joke that actually makes him uncomfortable. Giving him the skirt definitely has a chance of making you the asshole. Not giving him the skirt doesn't. So why risk it? And now onto the update. So I've gotten a few DMs asking for an update, so I decided to quickly give you all one. After reading through all your comments, I decided to scrap the skirt. Instead, I handmade this huge poster composed of different horror movie film posters that he likes. He's a huge horror movie nerd, so I thought that it would be nice. The guitar stickers that I mentioned in my OG post were horror related too, so yeah. By the way, I gave him the gift earlier because I might move earlier than I thought, and I might miss his birthday. On a sadder note, his girlfriend broke up with him a few days ago. I'm not going to share why because it's too personal and not my place to share, but it was hard on him. So his friends, me included, had a little get-together, and that was great. He's still upset, understandably, but he's starting to make his stupid jokes again, so that's a good sign. And no, I do not have a crush on him, and he doesn't have one on me. The reason I wanted my gift to be memorable was because I do appreciate him as a friend. He's helped me through my parents' divorce and when I got dumped. I am not in the right mindset for a relationship right now, and neither is he. And about the girl jokes, he truly does not care. His brother mentioned the skirt to him yesterday, and he laughed. When I showed it to him, he said that it was sick, but he definitely liked the poster better, and honestly, so do I. I told him I didn't want to make him feel like crap over a frickin' skirt, and that his sister said something, and he gave me the usual, "my sister is a weirdo" talk. He also told me that stressing over people mistaking him for a girl wasn't worth it, and he would much rather just own it than cry about it, because that's just tiring. He is honestly a super cool guy, and I'm definitely gonna miss him. I'm moving so soon, and I know deep down that I'm not going to see many of the people I've become friends with here, but I'm definitely gonna treasure them all. Thanks for the comments on my OG post, I read and appreciated all of them. Now in the comments, so glad he liked the poster. Great idea. I guess the only way to truly find out about the skirt is to ask him one day. You know him better than anyone on Reddit, unless he's actually reading this. It's great to read how you have been supporting each other over the years. That's a really positive relationship you have there. Keep being a caring friend, and give us another update if you end up as a couple one day. Alright, and I think that's where I end the episode today, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know what you think about it down in the comments below. With that said, I hope you have a bloody good time. I'll see you in the next episode. You're looking good today, as always, and bye.
Here's a story time of how I caught my ex with another girl at a bar. And no, this is not my celebrity ex. So this guy and I had been together for quite a few years, and we had a lot of trust in the relationship, but I was visiting my family in Florida. He was in New York, where we lived. And he tells me that he's going to go have dinner with this mutual friend of ours who is a girl. He's hung out with her before. I know her, and she studied at the same school that we studied in, so I didn't think anything of it, and I just said, fine. He said they were going to have dinner, so about 8 hours passed, and I realized I hadn't heard from him in those 8 hours, so I text him, and I'm like, hey, what are you doing? Are you home? So he says, yes, I'm actually home now, and I tell him, so what were you guys doing for 8 hours? And he says, we had dinner, we were talking a lot, and blah, 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 blah. And I just want to say I wasn't jealous at all in the relationship. We had a lot of trust, so we never checked each other's locations, but this time my instinct told me different, so of course I went and I checked his location. He must have forgotten that we had our locations turned on, so guess what? Part 2 of how I caught my ex with another girl at a bar. So it's about midnight, and he just told me that he was home, but my instinct told me differently, and I always trust my instinct. So I went and I checked his location, and it turned out that he was somewhere in Brooklyn, and we lived in Manhattan on the Upper East Side. So I take a screenshot and I send it to him, and guess what he does? He doesn't reply to my messages and proceeds to turn off his cell phone for the next 30 minutes. During those 30 minutes, he kept turning on his phone so I would see his updated location, so I would take a screenshot every time he moved, and I could tell that he was in a moving car, obviously trying to haul ass back to the apartment where he said he was. So as he kept turning it on and off, I kept taking screenshots every time he would turn it on. I was literally staring at my phone for those 30 minutes on the toilet. I was collecting all the proof so that he had no way of telling me that I was making things up or that I was wrong. So finally he turns his phone back on, and he's 2 blocks away from the apartment. Part 3 of how I caught my ex with another girl at a bar. So I can see from his location that he is now 2 blocks away from the apartment. So he calls me and pretends like nothing happened. And I said to him, hey, look, here are all the screenshots, take a look and explain yourself. He knows he got caught at this point, so he started crying, hyperventilating, almost having a panic attack. And he always did this whenever I got upset at him. I decided to grill him anyway. He begins to explain that he was having dinner with her, and they then decided to go to a bar because they were having such a great time, and that he didn't want to tell me that he was at a bar because he thought that I would get suspicious. And I said, well, why would you do that instead of just telling me the truth when that would not have upset me? What upsets me is that I caught you lying to me and that you're at a bar in Brooklyn with some other girl. I definitely lost my trust, and I told him to send me a statement of the bar, a bank statement, anything that proved that he was at this bar at that time, which he didn't. Of course, yeah, we're no longer together. Yeah.